Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your extra quiet ASMR episode of Holy Plot. I am Liam and I am in a different stealthy place than I usually record, which is why my voice is a little bit quieter. Don't want to wake anyone up. Here with Jacob and James, who are both wide awake. And today we are talking about Secret Invasion. The finale came out and we watched it, and we have some very strong opinions on it that we are excited to get to sharing with you. We're also going to talk about the series and MCU television itself. So, Jacob?
All right, so thank you guys for the support on the most recent stuff. We're doing better than we ever thought we could, and that's thanks to you guys. We have a video that hit 500 views, and that really warms our heart. So thank you for checking the stuff out. We got some really cool stuff coming this week, but I don't want to waste too much of your time, so let's just get straight to the episode. So we're going to talk about episode 6 first, and then we're going to broaden it out to our whole thoughts on the series, and then we'll just talk about the MCU television as a whole. So I will start out because I do think I probably have the most extreme thoughts on this, and I don't want to come across like I'm ragging on the MCU or I'm just trying to hate watch this, because this was a show that I did think actually had some promise, but this finale was kind of awful, just to put it bluntly. I felt that any momentum that the show did have, while I thought it was very minimal, the finale kind of just abandoned. The characters felt drier than ever. The performances they're doing their best, but their material is just so wooden, and I think that they are kind of stuck in a box. I don't know. James, what do you think?
Man, speaking strictly on episode 6, I just kind of got to the end of this, and I was like, all right, that wasn't really a satisfying journey. And as far as the payoff goes, man, we can talk about each of these points for a decent little bit. The CGI nonsense fight was definitely probably one of the worst of the MCU. Now, I do. It
Don't spoil it.
No,
we're going to get there, but it's really funny.
It goes without saying that the VFX workers are overworked and hardworking, so it's not their fault.
Not at all. It's the conditions.
It's not their fault that they're mandated to do like these ragdoll fights, every single project. But man, that was rough. I didn't feel like there was nearly enough like compelling character payoff for anybody.
I think there was actually some character work done in this episode that really hurt some of the MCU characters. I mean, Liam, what are your thoughts here, buddy?
Well, first of all, I think I've probably had the least extreme emotions out of your co-hosts here. You can tell by how calm I sound. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But yeah, and the reason I am pretty unemotional about this whole thing is because it is just a complete nothing burger, and I've been chewing on it for weeks now, and it still tastes like nothing. So it's like,
it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, to me, this nothing isn't like spicier than the other nothing. It's just nothing.
This is what everybody was saying Andor was going to be. Just what this felt like to me.
Which that's actually pretty funny because they're both kind of like, I don't want to say spy, but like subterfuge.
I mean,
who knows?
The fandom around this, which not blending you guys at all, but the fandom around this, like, oh, it's going to be MCU's Andor, and I don't think anyone is coming out of this feeling that way. There's one thing I want to talk about, and I don't want to insult anyone, but the writing in this episode just had some funnies. Let's just put it that way. I went down this line.
Did you take your stupid pill this morning?
Yeah,
Senator, you got to do better.
What is the matter with the MCU and having dudes chew out government officials in a funny way?
For one, I've already forgotten what Rhodey was chewing the Admiral out about because it's forgettable. But he said, "Did you take your stupid pill in your breakfast this?"
As a matter of fact,
this morning, Admiral, and I'm like, what? What is going on?
That's how you know. No, you know what? It was totally intentional. It's how you know he's a Skrull.
Oh, that's true. He wasn't acting like himself.
Yeah, the real Rhodey.
You're right.
Speaking of Rhodey in episode 6, the whole point is that the Skrulls are supposed to be good liars. And he's sitting there going, do you know those Russians? It was the Russians. I really think you should blow those Russians up. Trust me,
Mr. President, look at these dead Russians I found. Look at these dead bodies that I'm saying are Russian, but you don't know.
There's no doubt, Mr. President. I'm like,
level that country. Kill all of them.
Yeah, it's like don't think about it. Hit the button. I had the button right
here.
Kill
the kids.
And you know something that really bothered me in this episode, and I know this is like such a nitpick, but there's just no tension because I've seen the trailer for the next MCU project, which just has Nick Fury like running around.
Well, you know, I wouldn't even say it's a nitpick because, like, first of all, even if I didn't know Nick Fury existed until right now, there's still no tension in the show. I don't care what happens. They're not going to nuke Russia or America in the MCU, man.
Yeah, like,
I wasn't born yesterday. I
The-
know how this goes.
the bad guy who's like Super Skrull Carly from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like he's like alien flag smasher dude. He's sitting there, he's like, "You created me," and then he's like,
See, I was laughing. He's like,
And
I'm gonna kill you, and then I'm gonna burn down all of Earth with a
No, he said-
flamethrower.
Yeah, he said,
And-
I'm going to take a flamethrower to all of humanity.
and even Nick Fury is like, all right, God, like he doesn't
Okay.
care.
Nick Fury's like, dude, chill out.
Okay, and speaking of episode 6, how do we feel? I don't know. This contributed to the animosity. Does it have anything to do with Nick Fury basically saying go genocide a different planet, just not this
Dude,
one?
that was so dumb.
Yeah, that was.
They did such a dumb.
There was a lot of weird undertones to this where it appears that they're maybe trying to touch on like refugees. And
Which is
then,
a cool thing to try to.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, there's
it's,
a neat
it's
idea
very
here.
cool until you have you have your in-universe refugees shoot at the president and try to blow up like the whole world and take it over and literally replace everyone.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
the
That's
MCU.
bad, man.
I mean, that's one that's like, I don't even want to touch that, but it's like you get what I'm thinking.
Yeah, let's
It's
just
just
stop
it
there.
feels a little tone deaf, and it feels like the MCU is like trying to do something complicated. And every time they try to do something complicated, especially in these finale episodes, they just cannot help but commit to their MCUisms, and they just have to double back, and it like jeopardizes the message of their projects. If you've watched a finale to an MCU show, you've watched this episode. It's a dumb CGI weightless finale that abandons the momentum of the first 5 episodes and leaves you wishing you didn't do it. So
Worse than Moon Knight, easily worse than Moon
this
Knight.
is probably the worst MCU finale, and there are some dumb ones.
That's not.
man.
That is
Dude,
absolutely
okay,
untrue.
okay. We're gonna get to it. Pre-spoilers, I'm just gonna give this a 2 out of 10. I really cannot talk about my hatred for this until we get into spoilers. So, do you guys have verdicts?
I'm gonna have to give it a 3, honestly.
Liam?
I'm gonna have to give this a very listenable and calming 2 out of 10.
Wow, that's actually
Yeah, I actually think I
ironic.
hated this episode the least, and then give it a 2. Oh God! All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just get into spoilers. This is your spoiler warning. I'm just gonna say this, and I don't think I will say this lightly. Don't watch this. So if you just want to listen to us talk about it, I think you'd get more out of it than watching the show. So
Don't give this numbers, because then they're gonna keep doing this, and they're gonna keep.
Well,
Yeah, they got to learn, man.
well, speaking of
sometimes you gotta rub
numbers-
their nose in it.
Speaking of numbers, this has a 13 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the lowest rated MCU anything episode, television show, movie,
That's
special, you name it.
literally absurd. Literally
Um,
absurd.
I can't think of anything that has a 13 that's come out of comic book media in a long time.
This is
I mean-
not the worst comic book media thing that's come out recently. I'm sorry.
It's not, but it is bad, Liam.
It's
is,
bad, but dude,
you
I'm
do
gonna
not.
hold my tongue
let's
till
talk
we're
about
there.
let's talk about why this
You-
is bad, not why other
You
stuff
do
is bad,
not
please.
want the count from Sesame Street being able to count up to your score on Rotten Tomatoes. Like,
Man,
So I think it's warranted. There's two
It's
things that
eloquent.
this episode does that I just find stupid. The first one is Rhodey. So it's
oh boy, here we go.
I mean, this is the definition of weightless shock value. Where I
Mhm.
guess it's implied that Rhodey has been a Skrull since Civil War.
Okay, there's a couple points. I've seen 2 theories of this. If you want me to throw them both out for the sake of our discussion. So the big point of talk is that, you know, when Rhodey is getting pulled out of his little chamber, that he's like not using his legs, and so people are like, oh man, you know, when did he get grabbed? Did he get grabbed after Civil War? Just
Yeah,
like
it's
off
like
the surgery
legs.
table.
He's also like in like a hospital gown, so it seems like he was like taken right after he got like paralyzed.
But the thing is that there's also another point people have noticed, which is that he has the leg braces in Infinity War and Endgame, but it doesn't seem like he did in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Which, honest to God, I'll hold my thoughts on this. That's the only way that it does not destroy the few good moments that Rhodey has had as a character in years. Like,
It's also it's also really funny to think about that, like, their check mark for like their disabled superhero who has to like wear prosthetics, basically, if that's like cool to anybody out there, which I'm sure at least one person can like relate to that, and he's like, oh, that's cool, that guy's kind of like me. Nope, this whole time he's been an evil shape-shifting alien who points a gun at the president.
the scene that I keep thinking about,
the messaging is just the funniest part of this whole thing to me.
the scene that I keep thinking about where, man, it kills it, is why would Skrull Rhodey be looking down at dying Tony Stark being choked up? And isn't that a bitch if you're trying to watch that scene and you're like, that's Skrull Rhodey? It has to be after Endgame to maintain the integrity.
The reason why is because they didn't fucking plan it.
No, but man, like, I hope it was after Endgame, because that's, I mean, I'm sure one day I'll probably do like a phase 1 through 3 rewatch.
That's gonna take a while.
I mean, like one day, not like on my own. I mean, like if I have like a kid and like he wants to watch the Marvel movies.
If you have a kid.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be like, all right, we stop there. Shut up. I'll be like, we stop right there.
Bit rude, isn't it?
Bit rude. Yeah, no. I'll be like, okay, we got 2 Spider-Man movies and Guardians 3 after this, and then we stop.
It felt like a choice that was made because they had to do it. It was like,
well, it's like
it was just checking off a box on the Secret
you gotta have one Avenger be a Skrull. You might as well just pick that guy, whatever.
Yeah, but it's like, it's the obvious choice.
It's exactly. It's like,
who really cares about Rhodey? I mean, I mean, at least this version of Rhodey. I love Rhodey in the comics, but man, this is not doing this. The MCU, in my opinion, has never.
What about Don Cheadle?
I personally, this is just an opinion. I think Don Cheadle's a fine actor and probably a solid person. I think he's been kind of miscast from the start as Rhodey.
Wow.
I mean, I also just think he's in the MCU, so you just can't evaluate anyone's acting abilities based on like.
Rhodey is supposed to kind of have like a real grit to him, which I thought Terrence Howard embodied more, honestly.
Wow,
damn,
man.
We're going all the way back to day one.
James comes out as anti-Don Cheadle.
Though I
am also a little anti-Don Cheadle.
What? This is like Secret Invasion.
Well, I mean, there's probably.
But like, that's the point, though, is that like James and I don't like Don. Like, we're not the biggest fan of Don Cheadle's Rhodey, and we still find this stupid. So I don't understand why they did this. It just seems like it's done by committee. It seems like it's done only for the purpose of serving their show and not anything else. And if I was Don Cheadle, I would kind of feel annoyed because, like, I don't know. Once again, it just kind of gets into that playing with toys conundrum.
Speaking of playing with toys, perhaps the ultimate playing with toys. What did we think about the final fight between? What the hell would you even call it? I mean, it was all of them, wasn't it?
The discount Super Skrull and
what did you call the fight between Drax's arm and Mantis's head and Groot's foot?
Yeah,
I could keep going.
Like Glove Shadow.
Something that really cracked me up about this fight.
It was just Glove Shadow body parts.
Yeah,
is that they show a couple times that like they can use like all the powers of these characters. Like they can turn into Captain Marvel, they can turn into Mantis. Instead,
and they instantly know how to use all these powers as well.
And instead, they just turn into like Drax's arm and just punch each other.
No. I saw when Fury, quote unquote Fury, hit what I have forgotten his name.
Gravik.
Whatever. Hits that guy. With it looks like he's wearing one of those old Target foam Hulk cans. And he goes flying into the atmosphere. I was eating something at the time, dude. I almost choked.
Yeah, man.
This is your third act. This is we're seriously.
Like, it was legitimately.
We're having everybody run around with Kevin 11 powers. Like,
yeah.
It was one of the dumbest CGI fights I've ever seen. It was just it was unnecessary and it was a slog. And getting to the end of this, I just cannot recommend this at all. I mean,
no.
And I mean, I know the people that worked on this. Of course, like any of these other shows, they did their best, but it's just the MCU TV show pipeline. It's starting to feel like impossible working conditions.
I feel extra bad for the little AI module that did the intro.
Yeah, poor them.
It.
Yeah. It's just, if you want to like watch a superhero show that tackles the same story, go watch Peacemaker, dude.
Go watch Earth's Mightiest Heroes. There's a whole season that's actually Secret
But
Invasion.
the point that we're getting at is that there's just way better stuff to watch that tackles the exact same goals and stories that this show does. So
Not even just watching shows. Go outside, go on a run, hug your mom, do anything else.
Run from your TV, run.
So this gets the go do anything else.
Go
verdict.
do anything else. Yeah,
Ouch. But
Go into the comment section, type your credit card information while we're telling you to do stuff. Subscribe, like, Venmo me your paychecks.
look, I do not think you should watch it.
No,
I think you guys are probably in the same boat, right?
yeah, I'll give it.
I don't like
3.
I don't like to rip stuff apart. I like to always acknowledge that people worked hard on it. But man, largely I don't find that the fault is in the people who worked on it.
Of
I
course
just find
not.
Subscribe.
Basically, just don't waste your time. Thank you for listening to us talk about it.
Stay in school. Don't do drugs.
And don't watch Secret Invasion.
Don't watch Secret Invasion. Do watch Holy Plot on YouTube and Spotify. Comment, like, share if you care to.
Ooh.
Tune in next time.